the number one reason new businesses fail and how you can avoid it. Hello, everyone. My name is Tessa, and I'm with the IdeaPros marketing team. I'm going to bring Fred on momentarily, but before I do that, I want to say hi and also ask you guys to put in the chat what you think the number one reason is that businesses fail. Before we get Fred in here, I just want to get your feedback. I know we have people popping in. Lots and lots. Hello, everyone. Again, put in the chat what you think the number one reason is that businesses, new businesses in particular, fail. And we're going to get all the inside scoop from Fred here. So let me get him on the screen with us as well. Hello, Fred.
Oh, I was here guessing.
You're guessing, you're like looking. I am interested to see what people think for sure. Mm-hmm. This one's going to be an interesting one.
yeah, it is. And it's really surprising. Well, we'll see if it's surprising, see what anybody says. So what, am I going to sit here and just wait?
Well, no, I mean, first of all, obviously you've worked with a lot of businesses, and I just want to get a little bit of your backstory on how many different, why is Fred the expert on this, right? So Fred, tell us a little bit about your experience in watching new businesses. I mean, obviously we have IdeaPros, but you've done way more than that as well.
Well, yeah, I guess.
I know he didn't want.
I'm the expert on failure. Okay, I'll tell you. There's certain fundamental things when we want to start any type of business that we don't really even think about, but when you think about it, it's just like, whoa, why didn't I ever think about that? And we focus ourselves on our passion, which is really good, which I want you to do. But a lot of times when we do that, we don't focus ourselves on the environment we're jumping into. We have a great idea. We know it's a good idea because we love it. Our wife or husband loves it. Our kids think, awesome, Dad, go for it. But we don't do some of the critical things that we really need to do to understand if we're going to go play in a playing field that we can go and conquer. So I've slowly gone through the process over and over again because I started so many different companies of learning these things and taking decades to learn the obvious. You get any answers?
We did. We got lots of answers, actually. I'm going to read them off to you.
Sure.
So we have Eric Held says, not enough cash flow to keep the business rolling, lack of confidence from Timbo, running out of money, Sean. Let's see, Vance says not putting the work in themselves. These are all really good, actually. So, let's see. Oh, they fail to recognize they own a sales and marketing company. Interesting, Odin. Thank you for that. And not enough money, hard work, and flexibility, all from Jacob. And let's see, Vanessa says not putting their all into their business. You have to think, you have to put everything into your business, and this is your dream. Never give up. From Vanessa. Let's see, Katie, either people don't want the product or lack of marketing funding for people to find the product. That was Katie Thompson. And let's see, Odin also says lack of strategic thinking, not understanding numbers. These are all so good. Giving up emotionally.
They are so good. And they are all necessary things, but that's not the number one thing. The number one thing is so fundamental. We're so flawed to have this be the number one thing that is crazy. And Katie got pretty close there. Katie, the number one thing, if you didn't say the or part, Katie, you would have got 100, but you get 50. If you didn't say the or part, you would have been 100% right. 28% of businesses fail in the first year because there's no market for what they're doing. There's zero market. They don't have a chance to make it. That's almost 1/3 of, for every 3 people who go out and start a new business, one of them is going to fail because they're starting in a business where there's no market for the business, right? It's so fundamental, so it's flawed in our thinking that we have a 30% chance of losing it just because we haven't figured out that there really is a need for what I want to give you. It's crazy, but that's the number one thing. We're going to talk about make sure that doesn't happen to you.
Exactly. So I'll let you dive into the first. Well, I don't even know how many ways Fred has, to be honest with you, because most of the time he keeps adding more. So Fred, what can we do to avoid that?
Well, and we've talked about this before. On the most fundamental basis, you can't build anything for you, right? You are the only person that would buy as much as there was available of what it is you want to try to build, because you believe in it, because it's your idea, it's your baby, and everybody around you tells you that's awesome. So you're the only person you don't have to sell. You have to sell the rest of the world. And so the very first thing that you can do as an entrepreneur to get away of that 1/3 possibility that you're going to fail is start forgetting about I. Focus on I for I have to have drive, I have to have passion, I have to believe in myself, I have to know to never quit, I have to know that when I drop the ball, I'm going to pick it up and keep running. Use I in that aspect. Never use I for I love this product, I love the marketplace, I think it's going to be amazing, I would buy it all day long, I don't see why anybody else wouldn't. You got to lose I from that. And part of, well, you can go further. I love this name. I love this logo. I love this tagline. Who cares what you like? Nobody cares what you like, because you're not going to buy it, right? Think about that. And when because these are our babies, right? We have this passionate commitment to what we're thinking about, and it's all about I. And you have a 1/3 chance it's going to be I at the end. So we have to avoid that, and we avoid that by looking at what other people want, what other people need, understanding the marketplace, and understanding how you're going to participate in that market. And there's several steps, right?
Yes, and before you go on to the next piece of that, I just wanted to mention that where your idea was born from most likely was you solving your own problem. So it's really natural for you to have that I reaction. You solved something that you thought was a problem. Now you just need to make sure that that problem exists for other people, and they have the same challenges with it too.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I've only seen one time when somebody came up with something that wasn't any type of a real problem or perceived problem, and it turned out to be that it's not a problem, but it's kind of cool. And it was something that he was able to get flags to fly indoors in the big malls and big office buildings and everything, and it was something nobody would ever think about. He didn't become a partner, by the way, so he still doesn't have flags flying anywhere. But excuse me, that was the only time. All of the rest of the time, you have to come to an audience that needs what you have, right? And that's a very methodical way of doing it. When people come and they want to partner with us, or when they want to start something on their own, the very first thing they think of, I got to get this to market. I got to get this market fast because somebody's going to beat me to the marketplace. And we've had a lot of conversations, a lot of shows about forget that mentality. A lot of the biggest companies in their sector in the world today had competition before they started and went and crushed that competition. I can't tell you how many search sites there was before Google, what were they called first? Backhaul or something like that. They had some goofy name, but literally took them 10 years to dominate the market. But now, I don't know, does anybody else search anywhere else? They were not first. They were maybe, I would say, the 12th legitimate search engines. They were probably the 12th in there, right? So you don't have to rush to market. You don't have to be the first one there. Sometimes it's even a disadvantage to be the first one there because you are blazing through new territory. So when you blaze through new territory, there's a ton of opportunity to make a boatload of mistakes. So just being first isn't going to guarantee you anything other than the fact you're definitely going to show a bunch of other people how not to do a lot of things, right? So lose the mentality that you need to get there really fast.
Right.
Why do I say that? There's a reason I say that. And it's not just because being first doesn't really matter. It's that the drive to be first causes you to cut corners, causes you to not focus on the research, the elemental value of data that you need to collect to understand what you're going to be when you grow up. And when you cut that corner and you don't understand that data, as I've said before, I refer to that as the General Custer School of Strategy, right? Let's go over the hill. What could possibly be over there? And hopefully a lot of you are Indian fans because they won that battle. And if you don't do the work, you're going to have a product that nobody needs, and you're going to be part of that 28% failure group. So
it's about knowing the competitors and understanding, knowing your audience, your target audience, and what they want. And there's a couple ways that you can find out from your target audience without revealing everything, obviously. And at IdeaPros, we do surveys, customer surveys, to find out exactly, is this the solution that people are looking for, and it's in a controlled environment, right, Fred?
Yeah, but even before we do that, I mean, there's a lot of legwork that you're going to need to do when you have an idea. And in some cases, let's assume it's a revolutionary idea that nobody else has thought of. You are servicing a need, nevertheless. And I've spoken before about how if you invented the first car, the horse and carriage was your competitor, right? The need wasn't to have a car. The need was transportation.
This is my favorite analogy that Fred talks about. I love to come back to this all the time.
Well, I'm going to have to come up with a different one then.
Oh, man.
The reality is you need to understand at the basic level what it is that you're providing. Let's go with a toaster, right? The toaster is something that, who knows when the next laser toaster comes out, but even when it does, you're still going to be focusing on a need. People like to have their bread toasted, and it's not that people want lasers, right? It's not that people wanted cars. If people wanted toast and transportation in those two instances. So when you're looking at the competitive landscape and when you're thinking about what people really need, you got to think about it at the fundamental level, because only if you do, then you'll understand there's always competition. Okay, so fundamentally, even with IdeaPros, I say there's no competition for IdeaPros, so IdeaPros is a stupid idea. But fundamentally, what people want is the ability to become entrepreneurs, the ability to gain knowledge, to have a team, right? And if you can take it down to that level, wow, everybody's a competitor to IdeaPros, because there's 550,000 new entrepreneurs every single month, and they all need solutions, and they're all getting solutions somewhere. So whatever solution they're getting, and even if it's just a little piece of what we do as a partner, it's competition. And so you need to get down to the fundamental bottom of the well to figure out what it is that people are really looking for, so that you understand what it is you're providing, and you can start focusing what you're providing on that need instead of on your perception of the really cool widget that you have.
And a lot of that comes down to understanding how many, market research is what we do as well. And that can be done, like Fred, I know you'll say, like, the best market research tool and the easiest one is just to Google and see what's out there. It's not terribly accurate, but it is your first level of research, doing that footwork to see if there's anything out there or how people are solving the problems. I love to look at Answer the Public, and there's like Quora, as far as questions that people have asked around a topic as well to solve a problem. So that's a great resource. And we have tons of resources that we've done and past shows on how to do specifically market research and lay down that foundation so you know your idea has feet.
Yeah, well, and you know what? We should do a show. We should take a fake product and run it through from thought to ready to launch.
Like the laser toaster. No, I'm just kidding. Or the golden widget.
Don't tell anybody else. It'll be done in like half a second. And if you go longer than a second, it'll blow up your kitchen. So we're still got to work out a little detail here on that one. But look, get a piece of paper and get a pen and write down what your amazing new idea is, and then start focusing. Don't even go to the research or anything yet. Focus again. I'm talking about getting really down to the fundamental level. What do I have? What does it do? Who does it serve? Why would people want this? What are people doing now to serve that need? And why is what I have better? Okay, those are the fundamental questions you need to answer. If you don't have the answers to those questions, do not press go. Don't go any further, right? You really need to intimately understand all of these things before you can even begin to think about market research, consumer surveys, anything like that. These are the fundamental building blocks of any business. If you don't have that intimate knowledge about every aspect of that, you're going to fail. But forget the 28% because you're going into that group immediately. You need to forget your ego. You need to forget your own prejudices, and you need to sit there in the middle of the night, a glass of wine or milk, and just start chewing away at what you're doing. Because look, this is about to be a huge change in your life. A lot of people that become entrepreneurs do so after they've been working a job 10 years, 20 years. The most successful entrepreneurs, shockingly, that switch are people between 40 and 60 years old. They've been burnt out by the system that they're in. They don't like their job. They've reached the pinnacle of what they can provide to the entity that they work for, and they want to take that leap. And I think the reason the success rate may be a little higher in that age group is because when we get to that age, I've already passed that part of it, but when we get to that age, we become a little bit more cautious, a little bit more careful, right? When I'm 20 and I'm an entrepreneur, I'm going to jump off that cliff. You can't stop me. You try to hold me back, I'm going to jump off. And you're more likely to fail because you don't even understand all these things you need to do. So you, especially the older entrepreneurs, are going to understand this more and more. But if you don't have this first part of it, you're just not going to go anywhere with what you have. Now we can focus on what you talked about, Tessa, about the research part of it. Now that you have all your ducks in a row, you understand the marketplace, you really need to go out and do some professional research, and it costs money to do so. Not only does it cost money to do so, you need to be able to interpret the results. And I've talked, Tessa, you've talked before about sayings that you like, or examples that you like that I give. And this is the example of the X-ray, getting the X-ray and then trying to read it yourself, right? If you don't have the ability to read that X-ray and understand what to do about it, or if you don't have the ability to understand that market research and know what to do about it, you're back into that 28% again, okay? It's knowledge from day one to launch day. Knowledge, 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 knowledge. And that knowledge, by the way, can change over time. You can have a situation where you're going really fast, 6 months down the road, all of a sudden there's a new competitor that comes up. You may have to shift, you may have to pivot. You need to take a pause and understand what they're doing, why this is happening, and whether or not you need to alter your strategy. If you're not 100% focused on being on top of every aspect of what you wrote down with that piece of paper on that first night with a glass of wine and a glass of milk, then you're just going to be wandering around in the sea that you created in the first place. That sea changes all the time. And so you can never lose focus. You can never lose your drive. You can never lose your commitment to have information. Okay.
I love it. I think that it's very inspirational to see Fred's channel over on Instagram too, and help keep that that drive present. So if you haven't followed official Fred Cary over on Instagram, definitely do that too. Fred, do you have anything else that you want? I was looking at all the comments. That's why I was a little slightly distracted. YouTubers, I see you over there, and it looks like you're all back with us. Hello. So anything else that you wanted to cover, Fred, for today before I play your video from Instagram?
Oh, yeah, I do. There's more I want to cover. I want to get into that. I got a couple more things to cover.
All right. Let's go for it.
So I'll talk fast. Number one, when you get into the research report part of it, that needs to be really thorough. And what are you looking at? Again, fundamentally, what is the problem that I'm solving? What is that need to that problem that I'm solving? Because if you don't understand those, you're going to be very narrowly focused on what you're researching, right? If you have the new golden widget, you're going to, how many other golden widgets are out there? Oh, there's no golden widgets. I have a monopoly. No, but there may be brass widgets and silver widgets and yellow and pink widgets, and right there, you have to broaden your scope. And the only way to broaden the scope, back to what I said in the beginning, understand what need is being fulfilled, what demand a consumer has. The horse, the buggy, the car, transportation, right? Down to that fundamental level. So now when you're doing your research and you're doing your competitive analysis, now you're looking at every type of company that serves that need that a consumer or another business, if it's a B2B play, is addressing, right? So you may, instead of looking at golden widgets, you may be looking at all widgets. You may be looking at everything. I don't even know what a damn widget is. I don't know why I could use that.
I think it's a gear, but I'm not sure what a widget is. In Fred's world, we don't know. It's probably pretty exciting.
we always had widgets in law school and business school, so we'll have to look it up. But in any event, broaden that scope and figure out what the consumer need is that's being served and everything else. To the car example, okay? If I was doing research back then, in the car example, the horse and buggy would come up. You know, what are the benefits of the horse and buggy? What are the detriments? By the way, horses could run faster than cars when cars first came out. There's some old clips. If you get bored one day, go on YouTube and search horse against Model T or something, and the horse was winning. But so I would analyze completely that horse. You know, well, the horse has to be fed. My car needs gas. The horse can go X number of miles an hour. My car will go this, but my car can get refueled and keep going forever, and the horse can't, right? So I would do an analysis on any one of those type of competitors to figure out what it is that I need to bring to the table that's different, that's better than what they have. And now when you understand that part of it, now you really got to dig into the consumer part of it. If it's consumer product, you know, now that I figured out what that need is, who's the one that has that need? Who are they? How old are they? Where do they live? Is there a persona that I can create that's my ideal customer? Is it a male, a female? Are they in their 20s? Are they in their 50s? Do they live in the Midwest? Are they all over America? Like you have to hone in on all this stuff. You can't just open up shop, pull the doors open, and everybody's going to come flooding into your virtual reality. You really need to focus on who it is you're going to go after, because only by knowing that can you target the advertising necessary to bring them in. And then when you've found all that out, then you do the surveys. And the surveys that you do is on that audience. I found out that my ideal audience is women between 25 and 34 who have an income of X and live in these areas of the country. And therefore, I'm going to find that population and I'm going to talk to them about my idea and see what they say about it. What do you like? What do you not like? What can I do to make it better? How much would you pay for it? All that data. And that's stuff you need to collect to not be part of that 28% that's guaranteed to fail before they even start.
Thank you, Fred. I'm so excited that we got to capture all this information because a lot of people have been asking about our market research, what we do, how it works, as well as how our customer surveys, all of the preliminary work that we do for partners. But this is easy. It's easy for you to go research, but like you said on the X-ray example, it's not easy to understand what you're looking at so much. And Fred's trained
what to do with it, right?
And know what to do with it, exactly. Right. So figuring out the right market to go after, all of that is in strategy and takes time. And that's a big thing. We don't rush this whole process because of that. So I love the example. I know we had a bunch of people, Aziza over in the chat. I saw a lot of you commenting on kind of what your experience has been with this so far. Thank you so much. I am not sure. I apologize if you're over on YouTube. It looks like we're live, but I have some people who say they can't see us, so I'm sorry about that. I will post the whole show right after we're done here. And then if you guys have any questions you want to ask Fred, next week we're going to do an Ask Fred session. So I would love to get your questions. You can put them right in the chat on this post, and we also send emails and text reminders, so you can always reply and let us know what question you want to have Fred ask next week on Friday at noon Pacific time. So Fred, did you have anything else you wanted to cover before I let all these lovely people go back to their days and in creating new ideas and businesses?
Well, again, the thing I would close with is, if you think it's a really great idea, it probably is, but you can't take that risk, because you are going to be sacrificing a lot. When you become an entrepreneur, it's really the only subset of people that are willing to give up their 40-hour-a-week job to start an 80-hour a week job that you're not getting paid for. So take the time to really understand what you're doing, where you're going, who's there, and why you're going to win them over. If you don't take that time, don't even start. Okay, it's a journey. There's a lot of frustration. I've said before, crazy and failures, that describes all of us as entrepreneurs, because everybody tells us we're crazy, and we can fail several times before we get it right. It's a journey. It's a big journey. It's an arduous journey. You need to do the work in order to beat the odds and be that company that really kicks ass.
All right. Well, I have a great video that's going to help you guys be inspired to do that. So thank you, Fred. We'll see you next week. And thank you, everyone, for being here. Have a blessed week.
Take care. Bye.
You want to know the number one reason why new businesses fail? There's no market for it. There's no market. Think about that. Just because you think something's a great idea, just because you're passionate about something, doesn't mean anybody else in the world cares. When you have a new idea, it's really important to vet it, to do the research, to look at the competitive landscape, to understand that your wishes don't equate to the world's needs. There's always competitors out there. If you have a business and you say, I don't have any competitors, the reason is there's no need. Everybody competes to address human needs. And if you think you have something that's so cool, so different, so amazing, and so unusual that nobody else out there is serving that need doesn't exist. When you invented the first car, your competitor was a horse. The need was transportation. If you have something really, really cool in your mind, sit down and figure out what that need is. Why do people need what you have? And how are they addressing that need now? If you don't know the answers to those questions, you have zero chance of getting anywhere with your amazing idea.